So today is going to be, I'm sorry we're starting a little bit late. Fausto did have a webinar and things have just been a little bit crazy this morning. So we're going to run until about 2:20ish, right in that area, and then we'll have a few minutes for you guys to either get a cup of coffee, take a little break, and then we will go into the afternoon meeting. Excuse me, going into 2:30. So how's everyone's morning going today? I know I asked before, a lot of people were caught up in the webinar. Today was just one of those days. You just couldn't have enough eyes, enough fingers, and enough screens to actually have your trades up. Oh, Keith did good. How about everyone else? Good paper trading. UGLY. You know, unfortunately, those days do happen. The best thing we could do is we could learn from those days. Everett's plus 63. That's a great day. Yeah, IBIO never really did much. There was maybe 10 cents to make, but it's just, sometimes you gotta just forget about those stocks that we had, and then kind of find exactly what's going on. So I didn't really get any emails, but I did look. I did see what most of you guys. You really want to go over entry and exit points again? Watch for a long time. I'm gonna kind of, it's so fun. Oh God, you guys are killing me. So I mean, we'll do that. I'll definitely do that for you guys. But does anyone have any other questions? Because what we kind of want to get, we kind of want to get this too. I mean, especially because you guys are going to have the recordings. We kind of want to, see. Obviously, people have different spectrums of skill levels, different spectrum of trading experience and trading time and stuff like that. So kind of want to make sure that, kind of hit a little bit for everybody. Do you still believe in IBO? No, nope, not at all. Really nothing going on. It's not really interesting, kind of boring looking. Wayne, I did get your email. Let me pull that up. Wayne did have a good question. How time and sales relate to your entry and exit points. See, I like that, Everett. I like to go a little bit more into depth, not just teach you, just go over entries and exit points. I definitely won't get to that. Wayne did send me an email yesterday. I kind of want to touch a little upon because it was a very good question. Wayne's question is, volume is essential for a long position and logically important for going short as well. But logically, it would seem lack of volume would inherently drive price down. Now, what does everyone think about that? Because I was reading it yesterday right before the closing bell, and I did, it's definitely an interesting question. Keith Vogel agrees. What does everyone else think about that? Would a lack of volume inherently drive price down? Okay, so we kind of have a mix of answers. I'm going to touch on it. I'll give you what my personal, opinion is. Steve kind of hit the nail on the head. Now, lack of volume. If you look at time and sales does not move, what's going to happen to the price? Absolutely nothing. In order for a stock to go anywhere, whether it be up, whether it be down, it's going to have volume. Now, it's the different type of volume. If there's a lot of selling volume, you have a lot of demand, basically demand to get rid of the stock. It's going to affect it, obviously, if you have a lot of demand to buy the stock. So the lack of volume won't exactly make a price go down, but something I have found kind of, in just my experience in trading is a lack of volume kind of shows a lack of demand of people actually wanting the stock. So it does sometimes feel that the stock will go down because of that, but in all reality, it's really just a lack of demand of people wanting the stock, wanting to hold the stock. But in order for a stock to go anywhere, it doesn't matter if it's low volume, high volume, anything, it's going to have to have volume. Now, something you might notice as well is that a stock that doesn't have lots of volume, sometimes you see a big spread. So if there's a 15-cent spread, if you have one person that buys it off the ad, let's say it's a huge ad, the ask is really high, the bid is really low. One person sells that stock to that low bid, it will look like the stock goes down a ton, but in all reality, it didn't. It was just that one person buying on that big spread. So I hope, Wayne, that kind of answers your question in regards to volume and price. The market maker price is buy by the market maker. I'm not sure what that means, Steve. The market maker price is buy by the market maker. Yeah, Chip, I can definitely agree with that. Low volume is indecision. Either that or just no demand. Sometimes people don't want a stock. Got to remember, not everyone's day trading out there like us. You have some people that are fundamental investors, some people that are swing trading. If I sell at market, it's not always the ask. No, of course not. I mean, it should be depending if there's enough tiers. But if you want to buy 1,000 shares of something and go out at market and, try to buy them on the ask, it's all going to depend where the supply is, how, what the tiers look like. There's a lot of obviously, different variables that are going to go into that. And then sometimes it has to do with your broker. Sometimes when you go out at market, it doesn't give you the execution that that you see immediately, but that's usually just because the stock's moving. Someone might have came in market and took the shares before you. There's a million different variables. That goes way more into execution of it. All right. So before we start going into kind of what everyone wants to go over again, does anyone have any other kind of questions that go into something that what is your approach to the market? Do you typically buy pre-market and see how the market opens? It really, I mean, that's Rhonda. There's a lot of variables that go into it. A lot of the times I sell before the market opens if I'm in pre-market, just because first of all I don't like the indecision of not knowing where the orders are going to come out as soon as the market opens. You have a lot of the brokers that aren't placing pre-market orders, so when somebody puts them in, they won't actually be put out there until the market opens. And then a lot of time you'll see a turn of direction after the pre-market opens. I mean, it depends on that certain stock. For instance, like RGLS this morning, I sold before the market even opened because there's no way I'm going to hold it, for it to go down another, $4 before it went. Okay, but then getting back in on the short, once the market opened, the orders were telling you that it still had a lot of room to go down. So it's going to depend on exactly what the orders are telling you once the market does open. And right before the market does open, a lot of times you'll see a lot more action. Deb says, how do you figure out how to set up your screens? In regards to what, your execution system, or? I mean, I set up my screens how I feel comfortable. Which it just so happened that the way that the chat room is set up is pretty much one of the best ways to be able to integrate all your information at once. Do you look at the bars or the movement or the trend to see if the stock is moving 5 or 10? I usually look at the right side, Tracy, of the graph to find out how the stock's moving. I don't essentially look at the graph too much, except pre-market. A lot of times, if you don't see the orders, I will be looking at the graph to kind of give me an idea of where I should be looking for the orders. Okay, what is my call on RGLS per? 14 was a nice support level. Right now, I see a little bit of support at 21. I see some resistance at 30. So I don't really see much range or anything to be going right now. Can you go over if you see H high-frequency trades on the bid and time and sales shows it is executed? What direction should the stock go typically? All right, easiest way to understand this is everyone should know at this point, in your trading that you buy on the ask and you sell on the bid, right? So right now, if we were to buy RGLS, let's say we're buying 100 shares, we'd actually buy it at 14.28. If we immediately wanted to sell it, we would end up selling it at 14.21. So that's actually a great question, Lori, because a lot of people have this backwards. Everyone sees can see my level 3 here on the right side, my NASDAQ book viewer. I'm pretty sure I'm still sharing the chat room right now. No, it can't. Okay, I'm going to move it over to the middle of the screen. Can everyone see the book viewer now? You might have to move your screen, but I have it focused right on the middle of the screen. this is literally, I mean, I know this might get a little bit basic, but this is how when I first started, because I had it backwards, kind of with time and sales and how you're supposed to read it. Now, if you look, right now we have RGLS, we have 100, you know, we're trading at 411 on the bid side. Can everyone see that level right here? Okay, as long as you see it, it doesn't matter. Okay, as these numbers go lower, as the tiers go lower, what happens to the price? So the top level is 1415 right now. What happens as we go lower down the book viewer? Exactly, Del, prices are going lower. Okay, so what's happening? Let's say I want to buy 10,000 shares of this stock right now. Okay, if they're getting hit on the bid, which everyone should understand, the bid is always going to be red. Exactly, Arvid, the price is going to drop. Okay, in order for something to happen with these shares, someone has to sell it to these buyers. Okay, it's who's initiating the sale that's going to determine where the price of the stock goes. So as this 100 share gets hit, these 200 shares get hit, this 100, as as sellers are selling it to these buyers, the price is actually going to go down. Okay, it's going to look like I'm out for a second. I'm going to refresh my screen. Hold on one second. Start sharing. Hold on one second. Okay. Everyone should be able to see right in the middle of my screen now. Okay, perfect. All right, so same thing. Now we're at 1440. Look at all the green getting hit off. RGLY. Resistance. We don't have resistance till 75. We have some little bit to go. Okay, but anyway. Can everyone hear me now? Perfect. Okay, so back to that. So as we're getting hit on the bid, a seller actually has to sell these shares to the buyer, which whoever's initiating the sale. Okay, so the price is going to go down as this order gets hit. So right now, 17, I'm not even looking at the stock. We're going strictly based off what I'm looking at in the NASDAQ book viewer. We have some support at 1393, right? See, we have a 1,700 share order here. But what happens if this 1,700 share order gets executed? What's going to happen to the price of the stock? Exactly, Steve. Goes down. The sale, it gets executed. So if someone buys 1,710 shares right here, the price is going to go to 1392. That's why a big block order acts as a support level, because if there's a ton of shares that need to be executed for the stock to go down, you need to have that demand to get rid of it for it to go. Okay, but a lot of times if you don't have enough people that are actually going to sell it to this buyer right here, the stock will bounce back up. That's why it acts as a support unless it's being executed. Now the same exact thing happens on the ask side. Okay, at 1475, looking at nothing else, you're going to see resistance. Okay, we have a 4,100 share sell order. Okay, but what happens if we get closer to 1475 and I come in and start executing and I execute 4,100 shares at 1475? What will happen to the price of the stock? That's exactly it. It's really that simple. Stock has to go up. Now keep in mind there's other exchanges out there. We're going based off just the information we see here. Okay, but at 1475, the stock it has to go up if it's being executed. Now the thing about in between the bid, I haven't blacked out because it shows no direction whatsoever. It can't tell me anything. So I don't even pay attention to them. See, Lori, a lot of people do have it backwards, but the easiest way is just to think about the way that it goes. The prices from the top tier of the S side, as they go down, the prices are getting higher. So if someone executes 100 share, price goes to 100 shares goes to 1444. Executes 200 shares, goes to 45. Executes 100, 46, and then so on. So in order for this to break this resistance point at 1475, someone has to come in and they have to literally buy 4,100 shares from this seller. Well, absolutely, because if it's red, it's getting hit on the bid. If it's green, it's getting hit on the ask. That's exactly it, Steve. I'm saying based off all the only information we're going off of right now is what we see on our book viewer. That's to pretend like there's nothing else out there in the world. It's only the NASDAQ is trading this stock. That's why it's so important to integrate level 2, level 3 end time in sales, because sometimes you're going to see orders on the level 2 you don't see on the level 3. Because the ARCA, the Edge, the BATS, you know, all the different exchanges that are out there. Is everyone a little bit clearer on that? Red equals bid, green, yes, Keith. Rosie's question is, so why do we place orders above a big bid order and below a big sale order? Well, because if the big enough, let's say there's 100 million shares at 1475. Well, more than likely, that's going to act as a resistance because who's out there buying 100 million shares right now? See, look at all these people. The demand right now is 100, 200, 100, 1100, 100, 100. See how little demand there is for this stock at these prices, but then all of a sudden at 1475, okay, now this is going to provide as a resistance level until it's executed. So if this gets executed, that means that we're now above that resistance level and we have room to go now. So if 1485 is executed and the color is red, well, it depends because first of all, if this, in order for this to 1475 to be executed red, it would have to switch over to the bid. That means that the price went up. That means now if you wanted to buy it, it's 1476, and if you wanted to sell it, it's 1475. Any of you that are either gold students or gold students or platinum students, I'm pretty sure you have the time and sales and ECN workshop on your dashboard. Can you touch a couple on the most common trading errors you see with students? See with your students, please. Yeah, no, absolutely. We touched a little bit on this yesterday in Closing Bell. Right now, if this stock is at 1470, actually, the spread must be increasing. Yeah, because this thing's jumping around a little bit. All right, let's say the stock right now is at 1470. Is that a good entry on the stock? No, not at all. Why is it a terrible, terrible, terrible entry? Exact, James. Resistance is way too close. If we're lucky, we will make 5 cents on that trade. Okay, if we're really lucky, it's going to break that support. But I tell you, I do a coaching for a lot of you, and you'll know I say all the time, I've never met one successful trader that's been successful off of luck. Okay, so it's just that one of the biggest things I see is people are entering stocks right below a resistance point. And a lot of times I see it happens on stocks they're chasing. So you'll see a stock that starts to run up. I did a great coaching with somebody today where he didn't know why a stock moved probably about a week ago. Today, on a running stock, it was, I think, the Zaza. On a running stock, he literally told me 4 different entries on that stock. He was right every single time. Dwayne, I'm not going there right now. we'll go that towards the end. Okay, but that's one of the biggest things. A stock will be running, and instead of just calculating and finding out, you got to understand, once you really get this and you're really successful, I shoot from the hip every once in a while as well. I'll just jump in a stock that's running. Okay, but the 90% of my other trades are calculated. When the stock starts running, I'm finding exactly where my resistance point is for my next entry. So you need to wait and be patient at 100%. That's one of the biggest things that you have to do is that you literally have to. Would I go in at 1776? No, because I have another resistance at 1485. I don't go. I would never go into a stock to make 9 cents. Dwayne, just move this so I could move this up a little bit. Okay. Patience is literally key, and I have zero patience whatsoever. But that's why I map out about 12 different stocks, because out of 12 stocks, one of them's coming to one of my entry points. What is a trap? A market maker trap, all that is it makes it look like there's a lot, like if a stock's going up, it makes it look like a lot more sellers are there than buyers. Okay, but really they're just playing both sides of the bid and actually driving the stock up. If I could find an example of that, I'll show you. It's kind of hard to explain without it being in real time. It's just you'll see rainbows on one side, let's say on the sell side, and you'll see tons of buyers, but the stock's actually going down. They don't do it as often anymore, so really you shouldn't focus as much. It's good to know, don't get me wrong, but you really shouldn't focus as much on that. That's kind of just a little. Can you explain why most people read charts upside down? Absolutely. When you're in a stock, what are you looking at? Edgar, if you email me, I'll make sure that you get it sent to you, the article. Lori, I'll get to your question in a second. I want to start with a question. Why people read charts upside down? Well, no, what exactly? So let's say you get in a stock, or you're about to get into a stock. Tell me what are you looking at specifically? It could be one thing, it could be two things, it could be three things. What are you looking at? Support and resistance where though? Okay, Rhonda's completely right. Okay, Tracy and everyone else, most people, you're looking at charts. Can I tell you that if I'm in a trade, I don't even look at a chart at all. I literally do not take one glance at a chart if I'm in a trade. And after pre-market, I glance at a chart every once in a while. I am never, ever looking at a chart. All the chart's telling you, like for instance right here, all of this chart's telling you at 13 we have some resistance, right? Okay, but then what happened at 11:15? The chart broke. The stock broke straight through that resistance. So what is the chart doing for me? Well, a chart's great to give you an idea of where you should be looking for orders at, but at the same time, it's literally what used to happen, what's happened in the past. I do not in any way whatsoever, when I'm in a trade, looking at a chart is completely irrelevant. You should not be looking at your P&L. You should not be looking at a chart. All you care about is your level 2, time and sales, and level 3. One of the coachings that I did this morning, we literally almost had to force him to stop looking at his chart. Well, yeah, when Book Viewer doesn't, so you're looking at your level 2 and seeing if there's something popping up on the ARCA, if there's something popping up on the edge. If you can't comprehend exactly where a stock's going to go, then my best suggestion for you is not to be looking at it. Then how would you see a Fausto flag? That's one of the minimal times that I ever look at a chart, Deborah. Okay, but that usually I'll see a Fausto flag the second I click on it. You'll see that building, that consolidation, and then I go straight to my orders. Then I'm looking at right at my orders. All the chart's good to show consolidation. It's good to show previous supports and resistance. But for instance, this stock right here, this chart shows that there's a resistance at 13. So does that mean that it's going to bounce off the 13? Because at 11:30, it shot straight through. The chart didn't help me there, but if you would have been looking at the orders, you would have been able to see the orders and time and sales that stock is going to break right through. Terry, more buyers than sellers is an indication for some people. I find it completely irrelevant. I don't think that can tell you anything. I just want to know where the buyers and sellers are right this second. I've seen stocks where there's literally 1 to 8 buyers to sellers, and literally the stock has been shooting up. Okay, you guys can't be looking at the chart. The chart will not help you, especially when you're in a trade. All you should be looking at is your orders. Know where your orders are coming up to, and then you're watching time and sales. If you're, James, I'll touch on that right now. If I'm in a stock and I see a big block order on the sell side, okay, when it gets to that order, all I'm looking at is time and sales. If that stock gets executed, it's going to go up. If it doesn't, it's going to back off. I'm out of my trade. Support and resistance, I mean, right now you have some at 1392, 1390. Yeah, so right here on about 1390, you have a little support. And if you watch time and sales, it's going to show you exactly what's going to happen. There's our support. There's a counter trend trade from 1490. You had about 10 cents. I mean, 20 cents. But we still have our support here, but we're never going to buy on the way down to there, right? We're going to buy on our way up. See, look how easy it is. 1392 touched down over there, and then it popped back up. There's your support level. It was never executed. If it's not executed, it can't go up. I know sometimes it might seem it's not as easy as that, but it really is. Now we're coming on our way back down. Our support's gone. So if our support is gone, what's going to happen to the stock? $13.92. You have 1,000 shares. Yep, he's gone. Yeah. Give me 1 second. Here you go. Let me go back up. I know Lori had a question. How do you monitor all the stocks at once? Are you looking at the ticker or watch list? Do you have multiple level 2s open for the stocks you're watching? I personally have a bunch of different execution systems up. It's just easier for me that way, but then a lot of times I'll use a ticker so I can watch multiple stocks at once. You kind of, if you know where your supports or resistance are, you kind of know where your trades are going. So you can trade, once you get this down, if you have a game plan for every single trade where it's like a computer where if it hits here, I sell, if it hits here, I buy, it's a lot easier to manage, multiple trades at once. Why is price going, what do you mean why is price going through big block? Our big block order disappeared here. As we were talking, we had 4,100, right? I told you our support disappeared. So what happened to the stock? If a support level, a buy order gets pulled, it's the same thing as it getting executed, except it's going to fall even faster. I watch the ARCA a lot, Jeff. The ARCA is usually the ARCA and the Night are the two ones that the ARCA and the Edge, I mean, are the two ones I kind of focus on the most on level 2. Jack Arnold, who is the Axe? I couldn't tell you. I have no idea. Whoever he is, though, he's looking to buy 8,000 shares here at 1340. Right here, 1380, he wants 5,000 shares. I'm not sure who that is because they're all running them through ECNs now. So you list all your supports and resistance on a piece of paper and watch your stocks throughout the day to see if they hit those points. Exactly, Lori. I know where my entry points on every stock is before it even gets there. And then when it gets there, that's when when I make my trade. My trades are 90% mapped out. Like I said, every once in a while, I'll actually just, I'll see something running and I'll kind of just shoot for it. But that is so rare because, there's really, it's not executed. See, as soon as our big block order, somebody pulled it, it fell below it. Now we're actually building up here. 1390, we have 1,000 shares. 1402, not much resistance. Plus, I mean, I know a lot of you guys are looking at RGLS. I'll be the first to tell you that this stock is not tradable for most of you. I know it looks pretty and it makes big moves and stuff, but the stock will eat you alive if you don't know exactly how to trade. Not only the spread, but the tiers, how quick it is. The only thing that's tradable for most of you guys here is the price. Rich, did you record the session you did last week, Thursday, October 8th? If you did, I can't find it. Jorge, I just heard somebody just asked me that. I have to find out. October 16th. I really don't even remember what day that was. So I will find out. And mostly everything I do, I record, unless I'm do some type of computer error. Is that the one where we traded LUV from 20 to 20 to 20 or 31 to 31.20, and it took like 20 minutes for it to happen? Even though we knew it was going there, we had to sit there and wait for it. Okay, I will look for you guys as soon as I'm done. All right, so what other kind of questions do we have? We're about 30 minutes in right now. Team says the big. I'm just going to go up a little bit. Bookers not sure goes down. How do you bread? It really is that easy, guys. I'm not, I know everyone sees bread. It really is that easy. Biggest problem I had to overcome was watching the PL as soon as the trade's executed. James, I don't even keep my P&L up. Just to give you a little bit of idea of that, it's like a little game I like to play at certain points in the day. I'll look at it. I know how many cents I'm taking on each trade, but sometimes, with 40 tickets, it'll add up pretty quickly. What price goes big block? It's not even there. Well, Edgar, the price goes through a big block order a lot of times, like it's not even there because it's not there. It gets pulled. I don't know if we've already answered that question. It took me about 6 months to be really consistently profitable. I mean, I was profitable before that, but not every day. I can't really give you the last time I had a losing day. How long did I paper trade? I really only paper traded for a few months because paper trading it's great to learn your execution system. It's great to follow your rules and kind of stop some stupid mistakes. But at the end of the day, until you actually put yourself in the game and you're actually trading with your own money, it's just a different, a different thing altogether. Like I've told a few of you, I'm the best paper trader in the world. I'll buy 500 million shares of something and it'll go up 20 cents. But it's not reality. If no level 2 and level 3 big block orders for support, should you sell? I can't give you that exact. I'm not going to give you an exact answer on that, John. I'll tell you that if I don't have any support left in my trade, I do sell, because even if it doesn't go down immediately, it will fall down. You don't get realistic executions of your order. That's true too, Andy. I know I was talking to one of my colleagues about that until you actually get yourself in the game, you don't really get what fills are until you really start trading your own money. I mean, how many people here have got a partial fill before? I've never heard of a partial fill in a paper trade. Oh, no, there you go. Fills worry me when I go live. Yeah, you know what? But if you're calculating your trades correctly and you're confident, you're following the rules that Fausto gave you, and you're following everything that you should be doing, you shouldn't worry about your. I get terrible fills sometimes too, but I'm very confident in where the direction of the stock's going to go. So if let's say I get a fill that's 6 cents different, you know what? I might only make 14 cents instead of that 20 cents on that trade I was looking for, but I'm still very confident I'm going to take that 14 cents. Yeah, no, especially if you use the smart routing order, and you'll get tickets, and basically it will fill you in all different prices and stuff. It is a little scary the first time. Do you get nervous when a trade turns against you? Any mental techniques to hold on during a shake? Jeff, I don't. The best advice I could give you with that is I don't get shaken out much because I make the right entries. If you make a right entry, a lot of times a shake won't really affect you. But mentally, the first thing, if a trade goes against me, I sell it immediately. I could always get back in. I know I tell you guys this the same thing all over the same time, but if it was a high probability entry your first time, the second time it's going to be even higher of a probability. Stocks like CSIQ never really seem to have support and resistance big orders. How do you know when to get in and out? Brett does the 575. Well, I know Brett does, Brett knows the levels to trade on this stock, and that stock trades those same levels, but you got to keep everything relative. It's in proportion to the other orders. So if all the orders are 100 and there's one 900 share order out there, a lot of the times it's going to be a big, it's going to act as, some type of resistance or support. You have to put it all together. Right here, you see the 4,000 shares at 1360. But all the other orders are so low. If there was, a 1,1300 share order, it's going to act almost like that order would. How many cents would you typically have your stop loss? I don't use stop loss, but if I mean, usually 4 to 6 cents is my highest. If it's 10 cents, I'm pretty angry at myself. Do you place stop losses on your trade or you get out when it turns against you? Do you place stop losses on your trade or you get out when it turns against you? See, that's the thing, Dwayne. It's all about entries. So if I make an entry on a strong support level, I should know immediately whether I was correct or not. Like I said, I'm only right 7 out of 10 times. So there's sometimes the trade doesn't follow the way it's supposed to. Just get out. Because if I lose 3 times and I keep them all at 5 cents, that's 15 cents. Okay, one trade, one profitable trade, I'm in the black for the day. So if I understand this correct, see big block order on ask in book viewer, buy before executed or after. Tracy, it all depends. When I see a big block order on the ask side, I'm looking at that as a possible entry, but that doesn't mean it's going to become an entry. What would you recommend to overcome procrastination, and do you ever have this problem? Maybe in the beginning, Lee, and it was more fear, not procrastination. But now when I procrastinate, it costs me money. So it kind of it kind of helps to deter from that. Yes, Tracy, most of the time. And when I'm getting in on a major support level, I want a buy order to follow me to act as that support. Because at the end of the day, if there's no buy order, there's no support. Lori, it happens to the best of us. You kind of have to just follow your rules and stop thinking. I know everyone says this, trade without emotion, and it's impossible. Anyone that tells you that, it's really not true. There's always going to be some sort of emotion involved in it. But at the end of the day, you have to trade just like a computer. Yeah, I get mad on, sometimes when I'll lose, I got out too quickly and, it will go up another 10, 20 cents, but I forget about it instantly. It's just an immediate reaction, and then that's it. No one's ever, once again, very cliche, but no one's ever went broke taking profits. So yeah, I missed that 10 cents. We've all left a small fortune on the table. I'm sure all of you can agree with that. If I got every trade that ever went in and I hit the top, it's not realistic. Let someone else have the other 10 cents. Okay, but you know what? I'm not exposed anymore, and I just put that, in my profit. Jeff, yes, that is a great book. I have read that before. Oh, exactly, Rhonda. We're all a certain type of people to day trade. You have to be a certain type of person. Most of us are impatient, unless we learn patience, which I don't see that happening throughout my lifetime. But you just have to follow your rules, and it really comes down to trust. Once you trust yourself, you don't even think. You just make the trade. Like you said, you're going to be wrong. If any of you told me that you're 100% on every trade you ever made, you're blatantly lying to me, and I would probably laugh at you. It's not possible. But what we can do is we can try to take the highest statistical probability trades out there, and if we take a high probability trade every single time, you're going to make money. It's physically impossible not to. But at the end of the day, I don't pay attention to my money. I pay attention to sense. I want to make sense. I add the money. You don't add up the money until the end of the day. Andy's someone that I've done continued coaching for. And Andy will tell you, it's just, if you're buying on the proper support, like he said, 99% of your, it's so true. He couldn't have hit the nail harder on the head. Buying at the right entry point will literally solve 99% of your problems, because then you're already in the black when these shakes come and stuff. So you don't have to, they don't affect you like they would if, you get in at the wrong entry. How do you deal with Reg T? Lori, I'm not sure. That would be a good question for like an accountant or someone. I don't. When scanning for trades, do you look at level 2 while looking at the top 20? Well, Keith, I look at the level 2 when I'm scanning for trades, because once I put the trade, I want to make sure there's enough volume, the spread's good, I can get in and out. So I do look at both. I'm guilty sometimes of looking at the graph first just to see what's going on, but that's really not something that I would, I wouldn't make a habit of that, because the graph could look as pretty as ever, but if the trade's not there, the trade's not there. Do you ever or often take half off and hold the rest for another resistance point? James, I kind of trade that way. A lot of times when it comes to a resistance point, I might take my half, and then once it's coming back up, if it breaks through, it breaks through, and then I have my other half. If not, then, if I take a small loss, I still have my profit. Kind of a way of hedging yourself, but that's a way, way advanced. I have not been shaken out or lost big since you taught me. Before that, almost every trade I got shaken out of or lost because it went down to the support area where I really should have been. Well, thank you, Andy. I mean, that's literally the name of the game. Emotion is part of why we keep going. That's funny. Your proper entry is off a major support level. Okay, if you buy at a major support level, okay, when you ever see a stock, it goes like, for instance, I was doing coaching and I forgot what stock it was. I think it was IBO yesterday. And 2 was actually, a lot of you had it at 2. And I don't mean to be a jerk, but the person I was coaching, I told him, I said that you guys all had it at the wrong entry. Let's go a little bit more in. The entry was actually 190. Let me just find where I was talking about. Okay, I think it was about right here. Right at no, it couldn't have been because we did it at 11. Anyway, it was right over 2. It was probably somewhere in this area. So we did 11. I'm going to pull this up real quick right here. Okay, yeah, so everyone here had bought it right around like 2 or somewhere in that area. Somewhere right here on the graph. Okay, the entry was actually 190. And I told him we were actually looking at this stock and we were going over it. Now, if you look, when your entry is at 190, okay, which was the right entry, okay, it comes up, it goes to 205, but see how it keeps coming back under 2? Now you're down 2 cents. Okay, so if you got it, you're not even going to get it at 2. You're probably going to get it at 201 or 202. You're already down 5 cents. Yeah, well, it was coming up to 190. That's when that's where we had our major support level. So over 190 was actually the buy. It broke the 190, and then we bought. Well, it came down to the one that we bought. So we bought it like 191 or something like that, right here. Okay, and then a lot of you got in at 2, and you were just, kind of, it was going back up, but you probably got in like 201, 202. So when the stock comes down, you have no opportunity now. You have to get out, and it makes the trade a lot harder for yourself. Okay, but if you got in at the right entry at 191, when it's doing all this dance over here between 205 and 202, and it's going back up and forth, you're already up, over 10 cents. It doesn't affect you. You can sit there and you can actually watch the stock moving because you're in at the right entry. That's why, see, if you have the right entry, it relieves all your problems, all this congestion, everything that's happening. But if you're in at 202, now you're down 2 cents, you're down 3 cents, you're up 2 cents, you're down 3 cents. How did you know you're not buying a falling knife? Because we bought on the way up. So after it hit our support level, we bought on the way up. I didn't try to put an order and pinpoint it here at 190. We bought on the way up. It came down. It hit our support level. We probably bought at like 192 in that area. Clifford, the orders will tell you. The orders are always going to tell you if it's the right entry. That's all that matters. That's why looking at this graph, it was not going to help us in that. The orders are all you need to look at when you're finding your entry. Like I said, graphs are great and all. Don't get me wrong. You need them. They're an imperative part to actually trading. The support's from total view, Marcus. Total view and level 2. You need charts, but all the chart's going to do is to tell you what give you a good idea of where you should be looking at for that entry. But if the order's not there, it's not an entry. You can't enter based off the chart. There's a school out there that a few of you have been to, and you've told me this. They teach literally support and resistances. Okay, but unfortunately, it doesn't work that way because once it breaks through, the chart only can tell you so much. But how often are these supports and resistance broken through? If you're not paying attention to the level 3, the total view, level 3 time and sales and level 2, it's never going to work out that way. It can't happen. The order has to be there to support you. For instance, right now, 181, there's a lot of support level here. But look at 181 on time and sales. We just had 12,000 get executed. Now you're looking at time and sales. If this guy at 181 gets executed, we're going down, even though there's so much support here. Support from charter. How about a live trade? Oh, you guys are crazy. All right, let's find something that's moving. We just did. One of you guys should have shorted this when we were talking about that big block order falling down from RGLS, but we'll take a look. Right now, where's resistance on RGLS? Then I could go home. Well, this might be too fast moving. I see 14.15. And our support at 14, look, just got executed. What happened to the stock? Stock went down a cent. Right now we have we have resistance at 14.01. We have really nothing until 14.93. See how we have this 900 now at 14.80. See how the stock just goes down. We have no support. Stock goes. There's 20 cents. When your resistance follows, that's even a higher, probability of shorting the stock. Right now, our resistance is at 14.10 is a major resistance. Right now, we have some support at 13.80. What would you suggest if you're new and really don't understand what you were talking about? Then you should definitely take Fausto's class to watch phase 1, 2, and 3 over and over again. I'm getting my support and resistances from level 2 and level 3. They're both vital pieces of information. Because when we're at a certain price, like right here, see these 1,800 shares on the edge and 400 on the ARCA? This isn't going to tell me that there's 2,200 shares sitting at 14.86. Now 11. As we go, but the Nasdaq's not going to tell me because the Nasdaq book view is only the Nasdaq. Technically, we don't even need. We could black out this chart if we wanted to. What are the orders telling us? Nasdaq, we don't see any really support levels. We see 14.10. We see 8,000 looking to sell there. Now we see 13.87, 1,200 in support. Now that's gone. 61. We're actually building up a little bit. There's not much room to go until 14.10. 1489. See, now we have support coming in at 1489. Stock goes back up. Our resistance is still really 1410. I don't see many orders popping in right here. Yeah, you can buy the ARCA book. I don't know if it's necessary. I've never used it before. I don't really find it necessary. But you can buy it. I think it's even cheaper than the NASDAQ. It becomes too much information. 1380. Our support that was at 13 got hit. Look where it goes. This stock's a little too fast moving to do play-by-play. Let's see PPC. You guys know what I look like when you get. If level 2 and level 3, if there was a level 3 book that just had all of them integrated, that would be awesome. Because then you would just see all. You wouldn't need anything else but that book itself. But look, let's go over PPC right now. It's falling. Where's our support level? That's pretty cool. I'd have to see it though. I'd have to match it up. 2715. Exactly, Steve. Where's our resistance? See, now we have orders following us up. 2718. We have a tad bit of resistance coming up at 23. Got to break through these few with 600 shares or 700 at 22. But see, we had our support at 2715. Then we had buy orders actually following us up. Now it's evening out a little bit at 2720, and it's thinning down on 2718. This stock's going to start going back and forth. I see 27. Yeah, you could go 27, 23. But there's no, there's no. See, as the orders go. Look it down. See our orders at 27. See them getting eaten up, and then the stock actually goes down. Look at your time. If you can go back on your time of sales, look at 2718. Those orders that we had there. PPC right now is trading in about 10-cent intervals. So 2710, you always, right now you're really going to try to be looking at whole numbers. 27, 2710, 2720, 2740, in that kind of area. This really isn't a good stock to go long on, though. Someone pull up a stock that has some type of something on the way up to a resistance. I was looking at that before. I don't know if there's going to be much. It's 2710. Nothing going on here. There's no volume. It's sporadically being traded in PEIX. PEIX is good stock to look at. I can already tell you it's coming up towards 13. There's going to be some type of order coming up there. 27.95, trading in 5 cents. All right. So where was our entry on this stock? It's easy to look back. It was 1270, but I'm kidding with you. Now, right now it's building up, right? Now we have our support right here, 1291. We have 4,000. Now where's our resistance? See, it just went from 1290 to 1291. We have 4,000 shares there. Well, 1295 is definitely going to show a resistance point, and then 13 is going to be more of a major resistance point. Now watch 12. Look at all the orders we have at 1291. Watch time and sales. If 1291 gets executed, what's going to happen to the price of the stock? Does everyone see? A stock didn't get executed. What happened to that 4,000 shares, though? What's wrong with time and sales? Stock was pulled. Exactly. If it's pulled, it's going to go down even faster than if it's getting executed. If it's getting executed, you actually can see it being executed and know the stock's going to go down. If you're standing on a floor and I pull it out from underneath you, what's going to happen? Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Yeah, James, it got pulled. That 4,000 shares completely got pulled. It just disappeared and it went down. It's actually not a bear counter trend, 1285. But right now we're still where? 1295. Where's our support though? Does anyone see support? So let's watch time and sales. Kind of another bad example. But there you go. No support, stock falls down. $4,000 share order where? I'm actually looking at the matrix too, which is supposedly all that. I don't see a 4,000 share. Is it at 1485? Executed 1416, no, 1216. It got executed, Steve? I didn't see it get executed, but either way, if it got executed, it went down. You know, my time in sales, unfortunately, I don't like it, but I don't like the fact I can't go all the way back. It stops me once I get to a certain point. So apparently, so Scott's review also. Scott trade, you can go back. Can you go back the whole day of trades actually taking place? On the time and sales on Scott trade. Right now I see 4,800 at 1283, holding it up. Other than that, but then you have 13. There's no trading range right now. That's why the stock just keeps going back up and down. And the stock really has not much room to go. 1291 and then 1283. It's actually kind of building to the downside. Does everyone get where I'm going with this? I know we keep going the same things over and over. You know, it was 1291. Okay, I believe you. I didn't see it. I'm looking back and forth at the questions. But either way, if it gets executed or gets pulled, it's going to have relatively the same effect. Sometimes it's even faster when it gets pulled. Yeah, it definitely does. And you don't really have much support hanging up anywhere right now. Pacific Ethanol. All right, perfect. All right, well, I do have this recorded. I will make sure that this gets pulled up. Does anyone have any last-minute questions before we finish up for the day? Fausto's going to be on in about 10 minutes. All right, guys, have a great rest of the afternoon. Hopefully the afternoon is going to be kind of half as good as the as the morning was. Other than that, you guys have my email addresses. I'll be around. I'll be within the trade room. Any questions, please don't hesitate. Happy trading, everyone.